I was like, I could start recording now, but now no one will have any idea what we're talking about.
Zero context.
Yeah, there's no riffing allowed on this show. These are all prepared bits.
This is scripted.
Each other.
Yeah, that's why I only do one of these a week, is because I have to write everybody's scripts out, and then I'm old school, so I fax it to them. I like to do everything.
Thank God for our table reads, so we get all the dialogue correct.
I miss that old computer paper. Remember that old printer paper with like the holes in it on either side?
Yes.
Like,
that you had to tear off. That was perforated.
Yeah, something official, something important was coming through when you had that kind of. Can you imagine a comic rolling up to a club and pulling out a bunch of hold paper? Like, what sort of nuclear code jokes is this person?
Right. That would make you really rethink your legal pad. You're like, God, that guy's taking it serious. I need to step my game up.
I'm over here slumming it with these canary pads.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that made a lot of noise too, didn't they, when they printed?
Yeah. Not only was it printing, but it was working with gears to get that paper out.
Yeah, because important shit was missile codes were coming through.
Yeah.
Everybody be honest. What's the furthest you've ever made into like a new notebook you bought to write jokes? Like, I maybe have gone 7 pages deep, and then I'm like, nah, I just need to start
Well, my problem is I'll get a new notebook and I'll be like diligent and dedicated. Like, I'm gonna be disciplined with my writing. This is the notebook that kicks it off. And then like 5-10 pages in, I really just give up on myself, and then I'll go back to taking notes in the phone, and then I'm like, yeah, I really need to start writing again, but I need a new notebook to really set up.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I then purchase because it's a whole thing. You get motivated for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm really going to get my shit together, but I can't unless I have a brand new notebook.
Right.
You go to Staples, you're like,
yeah. New notebook, new me.
New pens, like a whole box of pens.
Yep.
Like, that actually should be my merch. I probably have enough notebooks with 3 pages of jokes in them and then a bunch of blank shit that I can sell it after shows for like $30. Here's if you look at any of my old joke books, you know when Mark started losing it when I stopped writing the date.
Yeah.
You start writing, and it's always like January 1st, like 1-1, and you write every day, and then you flip a couple more pages, and it's like, well, it's fucking July.
It would be embarrassing if I put the date, because you'd see that 7 months have lapsed.
7 months have lapsed, and I'm still writing like the same joke sets that I was doing.
Yep. You could sell your notebooks and those, I don't know what pens you guys use, but I use the G2 pens that have the ink refiller that you just kind of put in there. I could sell those refills just here. I'm never going to get to these in my whole life.
I am 40 years old. I have never in my life refilled the ink of a
pen.
And
ever.
I've owned some nice pens. I had a cross pen one time, and I was like, this is my new pen. I lost it the next day.
Literally, yeah. It's like me and sunglasses. There are certain things I don't invest a lot of money in because I know they will be gone within a week.
That's why I buy the expensive one, though, to force me to not lose it.
Oh, that won't stop me.
Okay.
That won't. I would have to buy a device to connect it to my body. You know, like mittens have those things.
Yeah.
I would need one of those for my sunglasses or a pen. There'd be a pen around my neck, just like this. Because.
By the way,
work with sunglasses, because in the South they have croquis, and those are like you put them on the back of the sunglasses so you don't lose
strap.
them.
That's what
hangs
that's
around
called.
your neck. Mm-hmm. They're
croquis.
called croquis.
Leave it to Mark Ellis for this list trivia information.
Hey, you Cincinnati Yankees never got croquis.
Oh no, we had them, but I just didn't know. I just called them the sunglass strap.
By the way, welcome to the struggle with Candice Thompson. I am Candice Thompson. No, you got it.
Damn it.
Welcome to The Struggle with Candice Thompson. I'm Candice Thompson. For my loyal listeners, thanks for coming back. The Struggle is a podcast where I used to have my friends on and we would talk about things that we'd struggle with, but right now we're all dealing with the same struggle, pandemics, race wars, and alike. So we try to keep it light. I have my comic friends on and we, kind of just shoot the shit. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. You can follow me at Jokes by Candice on all social media. Now I'm going to introduce my handsome co-host. He is so handsome and funny, and I've heard averagely endowed. Give it up for Mal.
Best intro for himself, because he knows I would never say any of that. Do you want
I just
me to
can't wait
intro
to
you?
hear how uplifting my intro is going to be, because like the last time I did y'all's show, it was basically a free hour of therapy and it felt amazing. And now your goal is to uplift everyone, and so I imagine that starts with the guest of honor.
Well, we'll see. Candice, you have to do my part.
Yes. Okay. So, hi everybody.
That is so Mal.
That's a
I'm Mal Hall. You can unfollow me at Mal Hall. Is it just Mal Hall Comedy, or is it Mal? I don't know your handle.
Malhall.com, everybody. Unfollow me at Malhall on all social media. Candice, who is our guest?
I'm so excited to have this gentleman back on the show. We had him on, not like, I guess it was early on enough. It was the first year of the struggle, and he was so funny. He's one of my favorite people in the whole entire world, the hilarious Mark Ellis.
Hey.
Yeah, it was back when y'all were really, when the show was called The Struggle because you were struggling for A-list talent, and so the day of, y'all are like, hey, yeah, let's just get Ellis. He'll show up. He won't be awful for an hour, so let's book him.
I did tell you, Mark, that my nephew was very excited when I told him that not only did I know you, but that I was having you on the podcast. Like he was more excited for that when I told him that I was doing your show, when you had me on as a guest. He was more excited for that than when I did my first late night show on the Tonight Show. He was more excited for that.
That's the problem with having such a young fan base, is that they rapidly age out of giving a shit about you. I'm sure your nephew has graduated to more entertaining personalities.
And I'm going to go ahead and say he probably has not.
Mark,
where could people find you?
Yeah.
At Mark Ellis Live is all of the social media handles. It's an ironic title for the last year. I at one time in my existence did perform live regularly, so that's the handle, Mark Ellis Live. Where are you right now, Mal?
So, Mark, I moved out of my apartment in San Diego and we moved in with my mom out in the country outside of San Diego. And so there's no high-speed internet out here. So when I do the podcast, I drive down to the library and I sit out in front of the library and steal their internet. So I'm out in front of the library in the car.
It's so weird that libraries have good internet. You'd figure, like, if there was one establishment that would be railing against modern technology, it would be the library.
The place that still uses the Dewey Decimal System.
It might be fun to go to a library. Like, I would love to go up to a librarian and just ask them, hey, do you have this book? And see what happens next. Do they walk over to like a physical drawer and pull it? Like the internet ruined a lot of people's industries, none more than Mr. Dewey and his decimal system.
And his decimal system. Poor guy. He's right there next to the guy who invented the payphone.
Remember the payphone at the back of the Comedy Store?
What?
There was a payphone in the back of the Comedy Store. You would walk down the stairs from if you just got off stage in the OR, you'd go down the stairs into the back hallway, and there was a payphone
in the hallway.
Yeah, you could hear it ringing from stage.
What?
I never knew that.
Wait,
Yeah.
what year would this had to be before I started going there? Because I don't remember that at all.
They probably got rid of it in like 2007.
Oh yeah, I didn't start going there until like 2010.
Something like that. Yeah, Candice
Yeah.
showed up and just
I
showcase
was
right
like,
away.
I was like, this is, you got to get out of here. Oh, get out of here. People like, this is why I don't want to like make this a conversation all about comedy because I know that's boring for some people that aren't comics. But I hate when people like get mad because they haven't gotten past at the store.
Mhm.
And it's like, but they haven't even put in any work to get in there. It's like there was some comedians who were complaining about I remember one, I'm not going to say her name, but there was one specific woman who was complaining about not being passed at the store, and she listed off all her credits. I've done this and this and this, but I'm like, but that's not the process. Like, like Kevin Hart's not passed at the store. It's because he doesn't go there. Like, he is a process. Like, you're not just going to be like, oh, I've done this. And she made it about like women not getting, like, they don't have enough women on the lineups. And I'm like, this is not about, you're mad because you didn't get passed. You're not mad about, like, you did it under the guise of, we need more women on these lineups. But then when she finally got to, it's like, yeah, my manager's called numerous times to get me on the lineups. And it's like, that's not how you get on lineups at the Comedy Store.
That's your first mistake.
Oprah, that's not how it works here.
Not at all. It took me 5 years to get past there.
When your manager calls the Comedy Store, you're actually losing ground. It's like, no, that's not how it works. One of the funniest things I've ever seen, this comic shall remain nameless. It was one of those people like would show up to like the potluck, which is the open mic at the Comedy Store, and they would try to get a spot. And if they didn't get a spot on Friends and Family, sort of the rule of thumb is just be a gym rat and just kind of hang around and go up late night. And this person would never hang out late. They would just go and see if they could get up right then. And then if not, they'd get so pissed off and leave. And one time he got so pissed off, we're all sitting outside drinking. He walks out the patio, turns around in a huff, and flips off the building. and we couldn't even contain it was a bunch of us, and we all start dying laughing. And that poor soul just goes back to the notebook, scribble
the notebook
joke.
Right, buys a brand new notebook.
Yep. Yeah, any night you flip off a comedy club, the next day you're starting fresh, blank slate. New notebook.
Wait, did this person ever get passed?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
They will tell you how many shows they've headlined anytime you talk to them, but
of course,
not at the world famous
CBS. Unfortunately, that doesn't narrow it down for me. I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about, but I'm like, and that all you just by saying that is also like, oh, I know like a million comics that will tell you all the places they've headlined,
all of their stats.
All of it.
We just stumble upon the new format for the struggle where it's basically 20 questions. We're all talking shit about one comic, and by the end we reveal who it is.
I would actually, that's not a bad idea. Put a pin in that, Mark. Let's start our own podcast.
Yeah.
One time, I'm not gonna, and I probably talked about this on a previous episode of this. I can't remember, but it's been a long time. But I had a comic, speaking of like notebooks, a comic left their joke book / notebook in my car one time. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out who it was, because I can't say that I was like Uber driving a bunch of comics around at the time, but I had enough in my car, like going to this is back in like open mic days and like when we would do like road gigs and whatever. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't remember who had been in my car. And I even like put on Twitter, I was like, hey, did anybody leave a joke book in my car? I even put it on Facebook, no responses. And so I was like, fuck it, this is just fair game now. Like I'm a good person. I didn't look in it. I looked at it to see if there was a name or who it belonged to in the cover, in the back cover, but I didn't like go through it because I was like, I would hate for someone to do that shit to me if I left a journal.
Yeah, you don't want people going through your first 5 pages.
Yeah. No. And then doing a podcast about it. So I didn't. And then I had forgotten all about it until I had a new roommate move in. and he was, I guess, moving boxes around in another room and stumbled across this book and was like, what is this? And I was like, oh snap, I forgot. And this had been like 3 years after I found it. So I was like, I think enough time has passed that maybe I could, just peruse and see what's.
How bad was it?
It was more scary than I felt bad for this person. And here's the thing is I didn't know, I now know who the person is. And I'm not going to say obviously who it is, and I found out just by putting clues together in their, and you don't understand how badly I was on a mission to figure out who this was. After I started reading it, I was like, I need to know who this is because I'm terrified. Like
wow.
I need to know if I've dated this person, if I know anyone that's dated this person.
It was a joke book or a journal?
It was both. It was like, how like we'll write journal like what happened in our day, and then we'll kind of, that was interesting. Maybe I'll try and work this into a premise. And
every joke book becomes a journal. Every journal becomes a joke book. It's like you're writing a page of dick jokes, and then you're like, I might kill her. I can't believe she fucking did that to me. And you read it. Like if you just stumbled upon one of our joke books, you would say, is this for stand up or is this a suicide
or is this person a threat to society and themselves? Exactly. Yeah, no, just our set list, like not let alone like full-on sentences, but even just our set lists are enough to trigger somebody to be like, they might need help. We might need to call somebody. So what was interesting about this person's journal is, there was like joke premises, and I could tell what part those were the premises, but then it was like notes from, they went to like a seminar, like those, remember that book, The Game? Do you remember that book that was written by Neil Strauss? I'm not kidding.
Stop it.
That's why I'm saying I was scared, because I was like, oh, this is a person who manipulates women.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was like Neil Strauss, like
you were like, did I date this person?
Yes.
Some of these lines sound familiar.
Wait a second. I was like, oh no, who is this? And granted, in this person, like to play devil's advocate, maybe this person went to that seminar for material purposes. Maybe they were like, oh, this is interesting. But knowing that I know this person, not like well, but I know them well enough to be like, nah, he was there to get some ass.
Nah, he paid for that show.
Oh, he would have done this whether he was a comedian or not.
Exactly, yeah.
But what's also interesting,
a list of jokes and then a list of possible neg lines. Let me just get a list of these, and then I'm gonna do a set. More neg lines.
What if Candice turns the page and it's just this comic's initials and her initials, like in a heart? And
I'm like, oh no!
They wanted you to find it.
Yeah.
That was the ultimate neg.
I've had that panic before because like I've left my joke book like either like in the cover booth of the OR or like on one of the tables in the back of the Comedy Store.
And kids start sweating.
I left it in, the back booth where the comics sit at the Improv. I left it there one time, and it, not like left it to go on stage and come back. Like I drove away for the night and then realized the next day. And you just have this heart-sinking feeling of every other comic that went there that night looking at your shitty jokes and just razzing you the whole time.
So you found it?
I have recovered. I'd say I got about a 75% recovery rate. So
that's
okay.
I'm like an experienced hostage negotiator. I haven't gotten everybody out, but I've recovered the majority.
Pretty decent record.
A notebook at a comedy club is kind of like, I mean, there's kind of unspoken like etiquette, right? Like if you see a notebook, you could kind of give it to the sound guy, and then because the comics coming back to get it.
Yeah, you would think so, but people are trash. And I haven't said that in a long time because of the pandemic, but people are trash. And it might be good if they don't know who it belongs to, kind of like my situation, because then it's like, oh, I don't know who this belongs to. So then, I'll just give it to someone else to give back to this person. But if let's say you're just a petty person and that joke book belongs to someone who is funnier than you or more successful than you, I can see a comic being like,
what do they do?
Right. Hannibal Buress's joke book. Let me set this on fire. Right.
What is the code here?
Right.
Yeah. I was sitting in the back of the OR next to Patton Oswalt. I had just gotten done, and then I think Marin went up, and then Patton was next, and so we were sitting next to each other. And he was trying out a joke. And so he was just kind of telling me about it. And then he went on stage and his joke book is still there. And I'm like, these are Patton Oswalt's jokes. I'm thinking, like, if I open this book, is it like the Ark of the Covenant where just this light comes out and it melts my face?
Yeah. Or he opened it and Patton's like, Mark, close the notebook.
You can see the light.
Lights up your face like you're telling a story at a campfire. Like, oh.
I actually found I think in that same booth you're talking about, Mark, at the back booth at the Improv, I found a joke book. I was there. I forget who all was on the show, but it had to have had it had his name in it because I knew immediately. I was like, oh yes, it was. So anyway, or it may have been because he was wearing the same jacket. Anyway, there was a comic on the show who was wearing a black leather jacket. I was wearing a black leather jacket that looked very similar, and vegan leather.
Dean Del Rey.
And it was not. It's not Dean Del Rey.
Comic leather jacket. It's either Dean Del Rey, Mark Ellis in 2012, or Dice. It's one of those three.
Yeah. Josh Adam Myers.
Or was it Red? That's Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
If it's Red, then it's definitely
1985.
Eddie. Yep.
So they had stuck it in my black jacket, thinking it was their leather jacket. So I went home with it, and I was like, "What is this?" And I pulled it out, and so it had I think his name was in it, but it was Chris Hardwick's book. And I went out of my way to find his assistant to give it back.
Nice.
I didn't even go back to the Improv to
you don't give it to the assistant, Candice. You hold out for Hardwick
for
himself.
money.
You're like, you got to drive by my place, and if you got any spots on Talking Dead this week, I'm a big fan of zombies. I'll bring the joke book to the set.
Well, what's funny is this was back when At Midnight was still on, which I could never get booked on. They would never book me for that show. But a part of me was like, well, now maybe that I've returned, now that I've given his book back, maybe he'll consider. And I'm not that he was in charge of booking it, but anyway. Yeah.
You know what's funny about that? I was booked. There's 2 shows that I've been booked on that got canceled. So I got the booking, and then they got canceled before I could fulfill the promise. At Midnight was one of them, and Lights Out was the other one. Because I'd done Lights Out, but then I got rebooked, and I was going back I think the next week or something like that.
And the pandemic.
Yeah, and I was excited to do it because I was hoping I'd get paired with Candice as my writer, because then I could compare who was the better writer, Candice or Sarah Tiana. I could pit y'all against each other. Sarah was such a trooper the first time I did the show, because when you do a show like that, you prepare your own material based on the subjects, and then one of the writers comes in, they just kind of riff with you, and you maybe if something needs punching up, they'll kind of work with you. Sarah comes in, we've been friends forever. She comes in, she's 9 months pregnant, she's about to pop, and I'm just looking at her like, Jesus Christ, is this gonna be an issue? I don't know how kids work. And she's fine, she's a trooper, man. Just comes in, we knocked out a couple jokes, and it was great. But I think she gave birth the next week.
That day. Yeah. If that was
sit down, Mark. All 3 of us are gonna work on these jokes.
Little Cage.
Baby starts kicking when I say something.
He's and then he just crickets when your joke bombs. Well, he stopped kicking when you said that last one, so I wouldn't do that. You know what's crazy is that he just had Cage as his name. That's her kid's name. He just turned 1.
No.
That's how long ago that's been. She gave birth February, right before the pandemic hit, and then now he's already 1. It's insane. Crazy. But yeah, she's the head writer on the Netflix show we're working on right now with Spade, but it's going through a lot of changes. But anyway, Sarah's great. I love her.
Yeah, and that kid, it's like the last baby. And if I had to write a script about like the last baby, the chosen one before the apocalypse happened, I would name the baby Cage.
Cage.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a baby that's gonna survive, like through like Mad Max, dystopian. Yeah, for sure. Cage. And I think his last name is it Brockman?
Brockman, yeah.
Yeah, Cage Brockman.
Cage Brockman.
Wow.
And then I think they still have the dog Maverick. So Cage and Maverick doing like the Book of Eli thing, just walking through the dystopian wasteland future. They're the saviors of the species, basically.
You know, I would have agreed with you, Mark, until just yesterday. Cage got scratched by Maverick.
What?
Maverick scratched him. Yeah, so bad. Like he had to get stitches. Like it was, we were about to have a Zoom meeting. And I don't know if the dog was just, just like, fuck this Zoom meeting, fuck this productivity. But we ended up having to reschedule the meeting because Sarah sent everyone a group text saying we had to reschedule to Monday because the dog she thought he bit her kid. And I was like, oh no. And it turns out he just scratched, but he still needed stitches, but he's fine. He's perfect.
Yeah. They're just playing around, you hope. Like I grew up with a German Shepherd who was always very protective. And so but German Shepherds are so smart. They really know how to take care of human beings. Yeah. And so you get a little spoiled because then now I share Molly the Wonder Dog, the Beagle Boston Terrier, and she's great. She's of high intelligence. The problem is once you get her outside, her nose overpowers her brain. Like you cannot. She has thoughts, but it's like I'm smelling too much shit right now, and so
sensory overload.
Dive into it, yeah. And like but that's the kind of dog size that I like now because she's like 29, she's 28 to 30 pounds based on who fed her that day. And
hilarious.
I like to spoil the little sweetheart. But like she was playing with a bigger dog at the park. This is like 2 weeks before I tape my special, and I get down and I like pat my knees, which is like the sign for her to run up, and then she gives Papa a kiss. This other big dog that is like a pit Akita mix or something like that, thought that I was being aggressive towards its friend and just bites my face. Just bit my face. And my face is like the chomp. I can still hear the sound of it. And there's blood gushing everywhere. And all I'm thinking is like, I don't even know if I have this side of my face anymore. Like I might be doing my special as Phantom of the Opera. I don't know what this looks like. So I end up going to urgent care and I get stitches. And by the time, and again, it was only 2 weeks out, but I managed to, like, the face healed pretty well. You can still see the scar if you really look, but I consider it a miraculous recovery because, and it actually gave me 5 minutes to do on the special. Because even though you couldn't really
I got my closer.
Yeah, I mean, you still want to talk about it. You know, it just happened. You want to document where you are in your life when you do a special. So it was, it's a very interesting topic.
What happened to that reaction?
Yeah, what happened to the dog? Or
I'm just too much of a softie. I'm not going to be like, your dog bit me, so I'm going to put it down. Like I just can't do that. So I just honestly chalked it up as a misunderstanding. I got too low and didn't realize that this Pit Akita was such a fan of Molly's. So
he's like, I realized, he's like, I stopped wearing bacon cologne. I realized that was my fault. Axe body spray makes this fantastic scent that I was like, I have to try this.
We're not that far away from Old Spice having like a bacon flavor.
That's true. That's the last time Mark went to the dog park with peanut butter smeared on his face.
On my face? Yes.
Your face, yes. Wait, so you grew up with a German Shepherd? Like as a little boy?
Yeah, Augie. She was around, I think that my parents probably got her in like 77 or 78. And my sister was born in 78. I was born in 80. And so Augie was already around. So like there's video footage. There's definitely video footage of my brother coming home for the first time and Augie immediately inspecting the new package and giving it her seal of approval. And
Cool.
I mean, by that time, she was just she was just so smart. Like,
Yeah.
she was just so intelligent.
Yeah, so we have a German Shepherd Belgian Malinois like puppy, and he is super smart, but like he's a big dog, and he doesn't understand like how he's throwing his weight around, and
Mm-hmm.
so Kalino's almost 2, and he'll still like body check the baby, and I'm just waiting for him. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for him to calm down and get to that age. Like it sounds like the dog was 3 when you came around, Mark. So it's like maybe in 2 more years, this dog will be a little bit more chill and around the
Oh
kids,
my
dude.
gosh. I'm
It's
looking at your
tough.
dog right now on Instagram. Holy shit.
Yeah,
He's a
he's
cutie.
he's a
Oh my
cutie, but
gosh.
he's big, man, and he jumps and he doesn't know, and he's like, "What? I'm just playing too." It's like fucking play
Yeah, they don't
Tupperware, dude.
know. I would be terrified because like I think about like what Sarah's dealing with now. Like now the dog scratched her kid, and now it's like, uh, you you love both of these things, and I don't know
Mhm.
Yeah,
if that's an offense that's like, oh, so big that it's like, oh, we need to maybe get rid of the dog, give the dog to somebody else, or
yeah,
you just because you're terrified. She's traumatized. She said it was more traumatic for her than Cage.
yeah.
So I don't know if that's now they're considering maybe he's too rough to be around. I don't know, but that's just a tough situation to be in. I wouldn't
Well,
want to have to. I
the
wouldn't
good
want to have to
news,
choose my dog over my kid because I would.
no, it's like the end of The Good Son, where you're like, okay, I can only hang on to one of these. Um,
Yeah.
Personally, in any situation where it's dog versus human, I'm taking the dog, which is probably why even though my face is bleeding, and plus, I wasn't even thinking about like where's the owner when I got bit. I was just like, okay, I'm going to the ER right now, and
Yeah.
Right.
or urgent care. But with Sarah, she's in the very lucky position that Maverick is such a beloved dog in the
Yeah.
comedy community. She would have any number of takers,
Yeah.
probably
I take him.
including myself,
I
where
take him.
yeah, we're all volunteering as tribute.
Yeah.
Tribute. I'll take him.
We should do that. We should just share, like, everybody gets a week with Maverick.
A community dog.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey Sarah. I'll text her right. Hey Sarah, we've already agreed to share your dog. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm not getting rid of him. I'm like, oh.
I'm
It's
getting
like
rid
what,
of Cage.
yeah, it's what Tig
Oh,
used to do
we're not gonna
with her
share the
Twitter
baby.
account. Like Tig would just give her Twitter account to somebody, to a new comic every day. So just Maverick just keeps going from comic to
To
comic.
comic to comic to comic. You know what's terrifying is, and I know this is an anomaly. This isn't obviously something that happens regularly, but it haunts me to this day. Is if, and I don't think it's specific to dogs. I think a cat will do the same thing. But if they think you're dead, they will try to eat you.
Wait,
there
what?
was there was this has happened before, and there was one specific case. I think this was in France. This woman just took too many, I think too many prescription drugs, and I think maybe she was drinking at the same time, and she passed out. And the dog, her dog, not a random dog, not a stray dog. She wasn't outside. She was on her couch. Her dog ate her face, and, and she was the first like successful face transplant.
She wake up and just like walk to the mirror, like something's different.
And I'm like, you
Is
didn't
my
even
nose
like.
running?
Also, is your nose running? You said you're so stupid. Like,
Also,
no, your nose is gone. There's nothing there to run from. It's gone.
This poor woman, she gets to the hospital and she needs a new face, and so the doctor's like, okay, we can either give you Nicolas Cage or John Travolta. Those are the only two we have in stock.
Face off.
Which one do you want? See, I think possibly the dog. I wonder how long she was out for, because I like to think Molly would eventually start consuming me. I spot you that. I
Yeah.
think that they would probably get nervous and like try to bark for help for like, I don't know what the dog code is, probably 6 to 12 hours. And then once they're like, yeah, help's not coming, no
That's
pulse, I'm gonna
Not
start.
that much time. I need you to wait days before you start eating me. Okay. Like, I don't want 12 hours. Like, what if I'm just tired? What if I went a couple of days without sleep, and then one day I go to sleep for 12 hours because I'm just all the sleep built up and I'm just passed out. But but my dog just decides because he can't wait that he got to eat me. Like that's
You would
that's
still
so
wake
quick.
up. You would still wake up though in that situation if they bit you. You'd be like, "Oh, I'm fucking
Well,
tired, but what the fuck?"
I would
Yeah.
hope so. Yes, I'm a light
Wait.
sleeper.
They would wait like 12 hours to take the inaugural nibble just to see what happens,
They
right?
bite a
Candice,
pinky toe.
you of
Also,
all people
to
should know.
be-
You eat healthy.
Yes.
You got to have the avocado when it's ripe. You ever have an avocado past its prime? Gross.
Also, to be fair to the dog, 12 hours in dog time is like, a week or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that. In his head, she was dead for a week.
Dog talking to the cops like, yeah, this bitch died 3 months ago. It's like, I've been dead 4 days.
It's like,
He's telling his friends, and then I fucking ate her face. And this bitch comes back from the dead. 7 months later.
what do you do in that situation? Like, that's still your dog that you've loved for so many years. Do you now like have a personal vendetta? I don't.
Did the woman keep the dog?
Can you turn your feelings off like that?
I think the relationship is going to be different forever.
She comes home with a new face, and the dog is still playing with the old face like it's a chew toy.
Got it as a chew toy. Oh, that's so fucked up. That's so dark and terrible.
Oh, that's just Rusty. He likes to play with faces.
Got him a rubber face so he doesn't have to eat any more real faces. I'm sorry, I have to give a shout out. I've been drinking.
Me too.
Are you guys coffee drinkers?
Every once in a while.
Nope.
No.
I view coffee as hot dirt. And
oh, you don't like the taste of it.
It just here's the thing. I love caffeine in the morning, and
Yeah.
I get a big iced tea, just black, unsweet iced tea.
Yeah.
No frills in it. And so that's why most of my family from the South has disowned me, because in the South, it's all about sweet tea, which to me, it's literally like it's a fast track to diabetes. It tastes like maple syrup. You're just pouring down your gullet. So I just go black, unsweet iced tea. But what I learned is that occasionally I'm a lazy talker sometimes. So like if I'm not performing, I just tend to drop words. And so I go to like Starbucks or Coffee Bean or whatever one day, and I order my black unsweet iced tea. And I say, hi, I just want a black iced tea. And they're like, what? And I say, a black iced tea. And the woman is thinking about this. And I'm like, I don't know what I said that's offensive.
So confusing.
She was a black woman. And I'm like, what did I say that was offensive? And then I start to break it down in my head, and I say, oh, it sounds like I said a black guy's
matters. Okay, sir?
Yikes.
We have the right to refuse service, you racist fuck. Now get out of here.
Did you ask for a Black Lives Matter?
No. I think she thought I said a black guy's tea. So,
oh. Why did you say so? I got that over here.
like there's a separate jug.
It's a separate but equal jug of tea that I keep right under here.
That we only serve seasonally during February Black History Month.
Yeah, we have a jug that is 3/5 as big as the other jug that we'll pour tea into.
No ice. It doesn't come with any ice.
Yeah. So now I clarify my order. I always say a black unsweet iced tea, and I make sure to hit every syllable. But I digress, Candice. You wanted to gush about gross, disgusting coffee.
Oh no, this isn't coffee. I don't drink coffee. So I didn't know if you guys were coffee drinkers.
Oh.
But here's the thing is I like coffee, but I know I would get addicted to it because I like the energy. So I learned that when I was working an old day job, like just to get through the day, and they had free coffee like in the kitchen. So, and I would be just back and forth and back because I hated working there so much. I needed something to just numb the pain.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, oh, I got to stop drinking coffee because I need, and I don't want to ever have to need something. Like, I don't ever want to have to be like, I can't get through the day without that. And I'm not like, I don't have an addictive personality. Like I'm not like that with anything else, but with coffee and in that situation, I was like, let me just nip this in the bud. And so I stopped drinking coffee. I'll treat myself to it like once a year or something like that. I'll just like, also I know it's very acidic and it causes stomach cancer, but you shouldn't drink it regularly. Anyway, I'm a matcha person.
Just kind of bury the
grazed
headline
over
there.
that. Well, yeah, no, it's true. It's like people don't know, and it's like it's bad. It's really bad for you. So anyway, you can do it occasionally. It's fine, but don't do it every day. It shouldn't be an everyday thing. It's really bad for your stomach. Anyway, I've been looking for like something, and I love matcha. I'm a huge fan of matcha, but I was like, let me try some of these because they have a lot of products that are like alternative coffees now that don't have coffee in it, but like are supposed to like mimic what coffee does in your body.
Okay.
So there's one that I really like called Mud Water. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's basically look at Mark's face, and it doesn't taste.
Name alone.
No.
I'm thinking, did they steal my bit?
Because about coffee tasting like dirt.
Did they find my joke book?
Yeah. Oh, this is good. This is good.
Mark went into a Starbucks to write some jokes and left his coffee book on the table.
It's
some villain
happened before.
Some coffee villain comes in, finds it, is like, how can I take down Starbucks?
I'm already giving the world stomach cancer. Now I'm going to steal this guy's joke.
So Mud Water.
I'd heard about this, and it's got mud in it. No, it does not. I'd heard about this. I'd heard about this from other people's like Instagram stories or whatever, like influencers talking about it. So I'd always been curious about it. But then I was like, I don't want to spend like for the full thing of it. It's like $50 for the full thing. So I was like, I don't want to try something, spend $50 on something that I might not even like. So then one day I was at Erewhon and they were selling the little packets, the little sample packets. So I bought a couple of those and I tried it and I really liked it. So I'm a fan of Mud Water, but that's not what I have here. I tried another brand. Mud Water's got mushrooms in it. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like reishi and chaga, lion's mane, cordyceps, all those healthful mushrooms that are adaptogens. Yeah. That's what they use in that. And it tastes like a chai, more like a chai tea. Make it into like a little latte. It's delicious. So that's the first one I would say try if you are into like wanting to get some energy, but not doing coffee. This one I tried is called Rasa, R-A-S-A. I really like this one too. This one has just got herbs in it. So it's like got like burdock root, dandelion root, a bunch of like healing, cleansing herbs that like detox your body. And then I made it into a latte. So I put a little oat milk in here and a little coconut sugar to sweeten it. And it's delicious. So I would say try if you don't want to do coffee, to anybody who's not a coffee person or trying to wean themselves. And I wouldn't say, and this is more like a sustained, both of them are more like a sustained, like you don't get that super high and then the crash. You just like a even, but like you're alert and you have energy. It's good.
All right, Mal, do you want to take this one or do you want me to handle it?
Oh God.
Go for it.
Like I see Mark's face the whole entire time I was talking. Here it comes.
Here's the issue I have. And Candice, let me preface all of this by saying I love you. Not like how people say, oh, okay, love you. No, I actually love Candice Thompson. But what you just described sounds like 45 minutes in the kitchen. And it doesn't matter how much energy that liquid gives me. I'm going to need a nap after making all of that. Honey, where's the coconut sugar? What the hell is that? Do we have any more dandelion? I got to go to 3 stores to get all this shit.
The dandelion root is what is in, it comes in a package. So it looks like, like, like if you were to take coffee grounds, they put it in a bag so it looks like coffee grounds, but it's got all of that in there. The herbs are already mixed in there. So all you do is take a scoop, put it in your little, I put it in my little, I don't know what, you can, however you brew your coffee, you can use that and let it steep for like 8 to 10 minutes. And then I just add my creamer, my oat milk creamer and my sweetener to it.
And it tastes like coffee?
This is very cool. It doesn't taste like coffee, but it doesn't not taste like, it's not as bitter. It's by no means as bitter, but it's got the same earthy kind of dirt, that dirt sensation that you're looking for, Mark. It does give that. It smells good.
It's very vibey.
Yeah, it's got a whole vibe to it. I really like this. I highly recommend if you're not a coffee person but want something that like does make you more alert, get your little cognitive skills working a little bit better. I would highly recommend both of those. Mud water, but mud water is actually because it's got mushrooms in it. That one is also really good. Both of them are good for like your health, but that one immunity wise, like especially during like flu season or whatever, those mushrooms are very helpful. And this one is just good for like a blood purifier, like a blood builder, because it's got iron in it.
Carlene has that mushroom powder, and
Oh
so
yeah,
she'll take scoops of that and put it in the coffee.
yeah.
So you can either get mud water, black guy tea, or what I do is
Black guy's tea.
or yerba mate is really good too.
I love yerba
Caffeine in
mate.
it. Caffeine
That's
in it.
that's my other jam. Have you tried that, Mark? It's
Oh,
tea.
it comes in a can, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't have to come in a can. You can also buy like it loose, so you can steep your own, or you can buy the little tea bags of it. But if you
Okay.
get the canned one, those are sweetened, so those have sugar in them.
Yeah, that's the problem with being a tea drinker is everybody just assumes that I like
Yeah.
Nestea and that bullshit. And I'm like, no,
Oh no,
no.
don't drink
It's
Nestea.
Nestea is the grossest stuff on earth. So
No.
it's like it's the cousin of tea that just completely f's up Family Feud. Like everybody's cooking well, and then you have that one idiot cousin at the end. Name something you brush your teeth with. Underwear. Like, god damn it, Larry. We're trying to win a prize here.
Yeah.
But like my theory, I actually want to try these. So please text me afterwards. I'm gonna try these. I have a theory that my body and most of our bodies are very, very stupid. And we can trick them into because like there's two Mark Ellises. Like there's pre-T Mark Ellis in the morning and there's post-T. So pre-T is like the Australian asshole Mark Ellis. Post-T is like baseball player Mark Ellis. But I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm just addicted to the act of going to get tea somewhere. And so if I just took like a lemon and squeezed it into water and mixed it up, any beverage that doesn't taste just like ice water, I'm pretty sure my body's going to be like, yep, that's caffeine. We're good to go.
Yeah.
It's all like the placebo effect, where you just think you're going through the actions of it, but you'll have the same reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would highly recommend if you don't like aren't married to your tea situation. Have you tried matcha before?
Yeah, it's a little too like.
It's also very earthy.
Yeah, it's a little earthy. The thing that I really want. I think that Candice could probably work with me and get me off meat, but I love meat so much. And when I was dating a nice young lady a few years ago who would eat a lot of vegan stuff, she wasn't strictly vegan, but she would like eat a lot at like vegan restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
I was so hungry afterwards. And I know it's like a thing you got to get over. The stopping by Taco Bell on the way home from the vegan. But
you had an appointment at Taco Bell every time you go eat vegan with her?
An appointment? Taco Bell only takes reservations if you just had to go to a vegan restaurant with your girl.
Mark is ordering online with his phone as he's ordering at the vegan place.
Right. He's like having Postmates delivered to his place. Timing.
This is a true story. One time, Justine Marino was having like a birthday get together at a vegan place, and I knew it was a vegan place ahead of time. And so I picked up a friend of mine who, when we were both going to the dinner, and and he's like, "Yeah, but the dinner's not for another hour." I'm like, "I know, I got to make a stop." So I pick him up, and I go to Jersey Mike's. And I get a giant turkey sub, and we pull into the parking lot, and I'm just sitting there eating my turkey sub for 20 minutes. And then I go into the vegan restaurant and I have a vegan beer, which didn't taste like beer. And I'm watching everybody else eat.
What is about beer that's not vegan already? What's the process?
Absolutely no idea.
Some of them have honey.
Oh, yeah.
I guess because
it might have been like gluten-free too.
Yeah,
because there's that Omission beer that I went gluten-free for a month. I did it. I went gluten-free for a month.
Yeah.
And then afterwards I started gradually introducing gluten back into my system. But there's this beer called Omission, and they have like this pale ale. But here's the thing: it says crafted to remove gluten. So it's not technically gluten free. So if you have like celiac disease, do not drink this shit because it's
Yeah.
probably still going to kill you.
There's
But
still got to be some gluten in it. It's just like decaffeinated coffee. Like they take it. There's still some caffeine in there.
yeah. There's still trace amounts. It's like
Yeah.
old school non-alcoholic beer still
Near
have
beer.
like 0.5% alcohol.
For sure.
It was
For sure.
basically this kombucha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just got to drink more to feel it, but you can get there.
But you'll get there.
Hey, Mark, what did you do last night? I had 30 Miller Sharps and I got effed up.
Wait, is that like a near beer? Miller Sharp?
So Miller Sharps was the first beer I ever tasted because we were my family was like on the road we moved around a lot when I was a kid, and there was a Miller Sharps maybe it was like on the Air Force Base, and my brother and I asked our dad if we could have a sip of beer, and my dad knew it was like the non-alcoholic beer. He's like, I don't know if you kids are ready for this, and we're like, come on, Dad. So I had my first sip of non-alcoholic beer when I was in maybe like 8th grade, and it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And but it was any beer would have been disgusting back then.
That's a cool dad. He's like, it's a cool dad that's also responsible. Like, I'm gonna let him feel like they're drinking, but I know that they're not drinking. So
okay.
I'm in the clear.
I will say this, Mal. It was a cool dad move on the day of, but you gotta question a father whose child rearing has led his kids to be so stupid that in 8th grade they still think that Miller Sharps has alcohol.
I mean, just has really good, naive kids. That's how I was. I was very naive growing up, but my mom still did a good job.
There's a thin line between naive and stupid. That's a very thin line.
Candice, that's a good. Write that down in your notebook. That's a good line.
In my notebook, got it. Got my pen.
Refill your ink and put that in there.
Have you guys performed live lately?
I did a couple weeks ago.
What's the long? Like, how long did you do?
I think it was 12 or 15 minutes.
Gosh.
Yeah.
What?
The outdoor shows I've done like I've maybe done like 15 or 20. I've done a handful of those, and then like I did a couple virtual shows where I was either at like the Viper Room or a place like that, and there was no audience except for the crew, but it was live streamed to the world. And so you maybe have like 300-400 people watching, and you're performing. And I did like an hour each time, and it was I was kind of dreading it the first time, but it became so easy because you just get focused in your stream of consciousness and you don't have to wait for laughs. And it's kind of like, oh, this is so much easier. But you just did
right now.
You just did La Jolla, right?
I did La Jolla last night. I did an hour, and it's that's a long time when you haven't done an hour in a long time.
It's like, a physical effort.
Yeah.
I would get winded.
Yeah, I felt weird. Like I did, I've done a handful of outdoor shows, like 15, 20-minute spots, and those still feel fine.
Yeah.
But once, like the stretching out to that hour last night, I was like, oof.
Yeah, no, the endurance, it atrophies, that muscle atrophies.
My voice, vocally, I was feeling kind of fatigued after last night.
Need to get you some dandelion root.
I'm gonna get.
We need some dandelions, some chicory, burdock.
Some mud water to help with the show tonight.
Yeah, you have to do another hour tonight.
I'm doing an hour tonight and tomorrow.
Oh Lord.
What is the setup? Because it's obviously an outdoor show. The Comedy Store in La Jolla conventionally is an indoor comedy venue.
Correct.
So are you outside in the back where everybody gets high?
In the alley, yeah, where we would park our cars is now where they put the stage between those two staircases that go up to the two doors in the back of the club.
Okay.
There's a stage there, and they put market lights up so it looks intentional. Like they've done a really good job, and they just put the tables out there, and everyone's sort of spaced out. But it is outside, so you get all of the, the noise pollution, the noise pollution of what's happening around, and it's not without its challenges. And then doing an hour after not doing an hour for a long time is really challenging. But
let's be honest though.
It feels good.
we never actually got to park our cars back there. They told you that's your spot when you headlined the Comedy Store, and you pull up there, and some asshole who's
Already
buying
taken.
a McLaren F1 next door is parked there. So you end up parking at Ralph's and just walking into Ralph's to buy a bottle of water so nobody rats you out.
Right.
Yeah.
I would always go across the street at that AT&T because they'd be closed.
Yeah, that's where I park at the AT&T store.
I got to get back down there. Yeah, there's been some talks about me going down to La Jolla. I just love that area so much.
Yeah.
And I am such a fan of everybody who works at that club. They're always so sweet and
great,
they're all like on point. They run a good ship, and it really is like if doing stand up, particularly as being a young comic at the Comedy Store when you're just doing the open mic and stuff like that, and you're working there, that is like prison. Then getting to go to the Comedy Store in La Jolla for a weekend is like the conjugal visit aspect of prison.
Yeah. Because it's the same setup, but the energy is just completely different. Energy is like, you get to fuck today.
Every time, literally every time driving down to La Jolla, I remember thinking like, this could be the weekend I fall in love. I could meet someone. I'm gonna get off stage. Some hot chick is gonna be right there, and we're just gonna do it. I have never, save once, I hooked up with one audience member in all of my years going to La Jolla. Went back to with another comic, shall remain nameless. He had somebody, I had her friend. And her friend was, I would say, a good 20 years older than me at the time. And
oh, wow. She
was putting on such a performance that I found it off-putting because I know I'm not that good. Okay. Yeah. I know what my limitations are. I've gotten better and I've improved in areas. And if you ever have the misfortune of laying in bed with me, you know that I am like Rudy. I lay it all out there on the field. I don't have the most talent. I have the most heart, and that's it. But this woman back in the day, it was like, you would have thought that I was some magical porn star machine. And after a while, you just want to tap her on the shoulder and just be like, you really don't have to work this hard. Okay. It'll be over soon.
My self-esteem bucket is full. Thank you very much. It's been full for quite some time.
He's like, I just had a great set, so I really don't need you to do this. I already was feeling good about myself.
Yeah, it's always weird when that's the biggest applause break of the night is her afterward.
Oh, man.
Mark, I'm like, should we end it now? Because it's definitely, but I'm scared about I might have to cut because of the noise stuff that happened.
We can keep waxing philosophic for another 5 minutes or so.
Okay, let's do another 5 minutes. I do want to ask you about
what happened to the woman in La Jolla?
Yes, where is she now?
Well, unfortunately, she moved to France and her dog bit her face.
Her dog ate her face. What? No, I wanted to ask you, I would be remiss to have such a movie buff on the show today and not ask you a question about movies.
Okay. I can do that.
I wanted to ask you, because I just watched, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I watched Judas and the Black Messiah. That's on HBO. So that movie is about, so it's got Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. And I don't know if you had ever heard the story before, but so Daniel Kaluuya plays Fred Hampton, who was a Black Panther, like a prominent Black Panther member, who was like one of the leaders who he was a threat to society. Like basically, white supremacists were like, okay, this can't happen. Like the FBI, whoever was like, this guy's got too much power. He's trying to not just get Black people to come together to fight for themselves, but also like he's, part of the Rainbow Coalition, getting all types, Puerto Ricans, white people, anybody that was oppressed. He was getting these people together to realize our power, to be like, we need to overthrow these motherfuckers who are oppressing us, which is what we need to do today. But everyone's too stupid and on Instagram and fighting with each other. But everyone needs to wake up. But anyway, That's another podcast. So he's a threat now. So the CIA, the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover specifically is like, we need to take this guy out. So they get a black guy named Bill O'Neill to basically be an informant and infiltrate the Panthers and give them information. So this guy befriended Fred Hampton, becomes a Panther, and essentially led to Fred Hampton's demise because this guy was just a snitch, a terrible Judas. So yeah,
he made it. He made it pretty high up in the Black Panther, and so he got really deep into it. And I've seen the movie, and it's funny to say because it's only like 2 months in, but it's probably the best movie I've seen so far this year.
Yeah, it's I would say definitely watch it. I enjoyed it. The only thing that I would say that I wanted more of. Oh, and did you know the Lucas brothers like wrote on it?
That's what I was going to say. That is something I find so inspiring because I love it when stand-up comedians can do other things well. Not that I have aspirations to do any of this shit. I think about writing a screenplay or directing a movie and I get physically ill. I'm like, that is so much more work
than I want to do.
Just walking on stage and telling jokes and occasionally remembering to take my notebook with me. But when people do it, it raises all ships because it's like the Lucas brothers started out doing stand-up and now they're writing these hard-hitting historical drama epics, and it's like we all have minds that work that well.
We just need to drink some coffee. But there was
water
or mud water. It's or do cocaine, whatever have you, whatever gets you productive. But it's like those two guys, the Lucas brothers, and there was like 2 or 3 other writers on it as well. So I don't know like what their roles were, like who created it or whatever, but it was great. The only thing I wanted a little bit more of and I would have appreciated was a little bit just more character development with the two of them, with Fred's character, like a little bit more before they got to that level. I would have liked to have seen their rise to that moment where they meet. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more background on Lakeith Stanfield's character, Bill, and so that maybe we could compare parallels, like to see where these two guys were before they got to that level where they finally meet. So that's the only thing I would have appreciated some more. But what I wanted to ask you, Mark, is because that guy Lakeith plays a snitch, and there's been some snitches in movies that I've actually like been like, oh, I feel bad for her. Or like not just movies, but in television where I was like, I actually can sympathize with that person. I get why they were in that position, why that'd be hard to do. But I wanted to ask you who are like, and do you have any favorite snitches from movies?
My top movie snitches of all time. A great one is one that everybody talked about, and I just, for whatever reason, never saw it. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, I finally was like, I got time. I'm going to watch Donnie Brasco. And it is so compelling because Johnny Depp is basically infiltrating Al Pacino's circle. And you watch it happen, and it's just the human condition is that we're watching it and we're sort of rooting for them to like succeed because you just like the people you're seeing on screen, but you also know when you step back, it's like, no, this guy is a ruthless murderer and he needs to be off the streets. We need to take this thing down.
Right.
And so I would put Donnie Brasco way up there. I
would say the Hunchback from 300. He pops into mind right away.
Oh, I don't remember. I have to watch that movie, and I've never seen Donnie Brasco, and I saw 300, but so long ago. I'm a person that needs to watch a movie like twice for it to like really stick with me. Otherwise, I'll forget after years go by.
Yeah, the 300's a good one. The all-time greatest snitch in a movie, I would say there's a great scene in Goodfellas where they all compliment Ray Liotta for not snitching. That's cool.
He's the anti-snitch.
For being the anti-snitch. But yeah, I'd probably go.
What about Fredo?
Fredo's a great one. There's another movie that came out in the 70s called The Conversation that has like it's all about like this like secretly recorded conversation. Gene Hackman's in it. It's
I
really
remember
good.
hearing about that, but I never saw it. But I remember that. Oh
That
yeah.
actually might be. I think it's the conversation that is the first on-screen appearance of Harrison Ford,
Oh,
and
okay.
he has one line in the movie, and his line is paging Mr. Ellis, Robert Ellis, and my brother's name is Robert Ellis.
Hilarious. And even crazier, they were talking about him.
They were talking about my brother. Yeah.
They were actually talking to him.
My brother, I mean, you could call my brother a snitch. He would probably hear my sister and I plotting shit. Then he's the youngest one, so he'd probably go run and tell my mom so he could get a bump in his allowance.
They're always the snitches, the youngest ones.
Yep.
I'm the younger, and did I snitch on my sister? I don't remember. Probably. One other snitch I would like to give an honorable mention to is not from a movie, but from The Wire. D'Angelo Barksdale. I don't know if you guys ever watched The Wire, but he was one that I like felt bad for because I was like, he's just trying to do good, and then it's like, oh, but he flipped, and they of course had to kill him. That's just the way it goes. This is the way it goes.
The Sopranos. I do a show on Peacock called Versus, and so like it's like you pair up. For this one, we did The Sopranos versus Breaking Bad, and I'd never seen The Sopranos, so I watched the whole thing. It's great, and Big Pussy is the snitch that comes to mind.
Big Pussy.
I've never seen Sopranos.
Oh, you gotta watch. I'm gonna start rewatching that because I watched it a few years ago. I was a late person. I didn't watch it when it was on. I don't think we had HBO when it was like when it was out, but it was definitely really good. But I will rewatch that now. But yeah, I remember Big Puss.
You do that. I'll do The Wire rewatch. I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah, so rewatch The Wire.
Notes.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you could DM me your HBO Max subscription login, I will start watching these movies as well. I'll have to download them ahead of time when I'm in a good service area, and then I'll come out here to the country and I'll enjoy on my phone.
Do you have more time or less time to watch stuff because you're watching the little one all day? So less because they just require hands-on attention.
Well, because my fiance still works, like she still works, so my time is basically 6 a.m. I'm on call 6 a.m. until he goes to bed at or she gets off work at 5:30. So 6 a.m. to 5:30, but then I'm doing dinner, and then he goes to bed. So my time to myself, where I could dedicate it, is on the weekends or 8 o'clock until whenever I go to bed. So I try to put in a good 6-hour shift at night, and then I'm just tired of the daytime.
Yeah.
Here's why I love you, for two reasons. One, you're reminding me to continue my current lifestyle.
To pull out.
But you also you're doing an hour tonight and you're gonna kill because you're hilarious. So after the show, when you're either selling merch or giving people elbows, I guess is how you do it now, just get one of their HBO Max passwords. La Jolla is one of the richest places on earth.
Yeah.
They're going to give you their password free of charge.
Yeah. I'm going to work that into the set. That'll be one
you
of the ad-libs.
Yeah.
DM me your HBO Max login. This is my first time working in a year, you guys. I had to cancel my subscription. My life has changed.
A different person now. I need passwords. Oh, all right, guys. This was fantastic. Mark, thank you for coming back to the struggle.
This didn't feel like a podcast. It just felt like friends hanging out. Like we haven't seen each other in a while.
That is exactly what it is. And it's it's easier to feel like that when it's someone you know decently well. But sometimes we have guests where it's like I don't know them well enough to feel like that. So it is good when you have someone.
Isn't that the worst? I hate interviewing people. I really do.
Yeah.
I despise. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how famous you are. I'm just like, just give me the fucking answer so I can leave.
No, I know.
But especially when you do a podcast with someone who you don't know that well, I cannot stand when they act like they've never used Zoom or a microphone or a camera before, and they're just like, "Oh, do you need me to talk into the microphone?" It's like, yes, that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how this works.
So I'm glad I didn't fail you all technologically.
No, you sound better than us. I've got I have put so little effort into this podcast. It's amazing that I still have anyone that watches. I actively try every episode to lose listeners, but they keep coming back for some reason. And what's sad is that I actually have like good podcast equipment in the other room that I use for another podcast that I have. But for this,
you're just trying to stay on brand with this one.
with this one, janky is the way it's at. It's where it's at.
Well, unfortunately, I think you only gained listeners after today, not because you had a huge celebrity as your guest, but because you literally taught people how to avoid stomach cancer. So I think you're going to get some repeat business out of this episode.
No, Mark, what happens whenever I try to educate people on what they need to do about their health is they call me crazy, they ignore me, they don't listen to me, and just know that I will be laughing at all of you when you're in hospice. And I will be saying, I told you, motherfucker, so. All you needed to do.
Unless you go first. That reminds me of that Ian Edwards joke where he's like,
oh, now you can't die
he
first.
talks about dying first, and all his meat eater friends are having eating meatballs
over his
casket. Look at you, you healthy motherfucker. I'm eating. What does he say? It's like I'm licking the meat juice off of my arm. As you look at you, you dead motherfucker.
Meat juice.
That is, you do. That is so true. You have to outlive all your unhealthy friends because otherwise you're just that healthy person that ate healthy for no reason.
Yeah. Candace's going to live to be 200. She's going to have like 30 cats.
Yeah, okay, first of all, I hate cats, but I have no desire to live to 200.
You know what you should get right now? You should get like a baby tortoise because they can live to be like 150. You should see who outlives who.
I would like a tortoise. Maybe I will get a tortoise because they're low maintenance.
Yeah, anyway. When they die, you can eat them.
You and the tortoise have the same diet too. Tortoise.
Yeah, we both eat leaves a lot.
When you go shopping, just get a little bit more.
I have footage on my phone. I stopped at I was in Florida doing something, and I stopped at a zoo or like an outside sort of wildlife preserve. And y'all, I'll send you guys the video. I saw a tortoise threesome, and it was awesome. 2 turtles were going at it, and this third turtle just walks up and is like, "I want in," and just plowing. An actual turtle threesome.
One more would have been an orgy.
Well, I mean, I jumped in after that.
I mean, how could you not? It's either that or just stand masturbating on the side watching.
I don't want to be rude.
So stupid. All right, guys. Thank you again, Mark. I'll go to you first, Mark. Tell everybody one more time where they can find you on social media.
I'm not the Australian politician. I'm not the baseball player. I am merely the comedian and Tetris Goat. Mark Ellis Live across all social media platforms. And you can find Mal Hall at Mal Hall Comedy. Is that it?
See how we
no
forget.
Comedy, just at Mal Hall.
I
got my name early.
Oh yeah. Plus you're probably the only one that's a Mal Hall.
No, there's a lot of Mal Halls.
Really?
They all go through life with the same struggle as me, which is idiot Americans calling them Mal Hall.
Mal, yeah, because they can't read. Are they all Malacochrans like you?
No, I think that's a one of one.
I would tell people, if I was you, I would tell people my name is Malicious. That's my full name is Malicious. And then people be scared of me. You have a little street cred.
Yeah. If you were in the Old West, you would just go to a new town and they'd be like, "What's Mal stand for?" And you're like, "Malady."
Yeah.
And then you just get this finger just on the trigger, just ready to draw.
Giving you some alternatives, Mal. That's all. Think about it. We're going to do a name change. All right, guys.
Candice is the apothecary. It's just telling everybody they're living wrong. And we're like, it's the frontier, Candice, okay?
And I'm but your energy, I can feel your chakras are not aligned.
It's 1879. I'm drinking coffee. I'm sorry.
That's 1879. I'm drinking actual mud water. And
Which is
the
probably still
formula has
better for
not
you
been
than
made yet.
coffee.
Yeah.
It's got minerals in it, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you again for tuning into The Struggle with Candice Thompson. I've been Candice Thompson. You can find me on social media, Jokes by Candice. If you have not subscribed, make sure you do that. We're on all podcast platforms. I'm also posting videos now on my personal YouTube channel, so I'll be posting that. So make sure to subscribe there as well. Rate and review us on iTunes. And last but not least, if you have not told someone about The Struggle and you are enjoying, pay it forward and tell somebody. Till next time.